Laker fans, we get a ton of watchers on this channel, but turns out most of you guys aren't subscribed. So I want to separate the fake Laker fans from the real Laker fans. If you have subscribed to this channel, type Laker Nation down in the comment section below. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As most of you are watching this on Wednesday, there is a very, very important Game 7 coming up tonight between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets. The winner of that game will determine who the Los Angeles Lakers play in the second round of the playoffs. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a really fun lineup going on right now with Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the backcourt. Sixth Man of the Year candidate Dennis Schroeder right off the bench. Lou Dort has turned into an elite defender out on the wings on James Harden this first-round series. They also have big man Steven Adams in the middle, who's going to pose a lot of problems no matter who he's going up against. And then Danilo Gallinari, who's been a great scoring forward for this team all season long and in the NBA playoffs. Now, the Rockets are rolling out this lineup, which is interesting on paper, but it is really, really small. They just got Russell Westbrook back. He's only played in 2 games. And, of course, they have the always reliable, yet sometimes inefficient, James Harden in the backcourt along with him. Eric Gordon has returned from his injury. And then their big men, quote-unquote, PJ Tucker and Robert Covington. Now, you look at what the Thunder have been doing in the playoffs, and their 2 leading scorers have been Chris Paul in the starting 5 and Dennis Schroeder off the bench. And that's a problem for the Lakers because they have to see either of these guys. They don't have Avery Bradley. They're just barely going to have Rajon Rondo back. Who is going to guard CP3 or Dennis Schroeder? Alex Caruso might have to do better than that. But the backcourt in Houston is just as good. However, Russell Westbrook does not look the same. Now, mind you, he's only played 2 games because he is coming off that quad strain. But in those 2 games, he's been on a minutes restriction, and in the minutes that he's gotten, he hasn't looked good. 12 points per game, 25% from 3, 39% from the field. And oh, by the way, a very, very important turnover that basically forced the Oklahoma City Thunder to take this to a Game 7. Now, right now, the Thunder and the Rockets are tied 3 games apiece. Like I said, they're playing that Game 7 on Wednesday night. The Rockets look dominant in the first 2 games. First one, they won by nearly 20 points, 123-108. The next one, they took by double digits again, 111-98. But then the Thunder came rumbling back, 119-107 in Game 3. Then they go ahead and win Game 4 in crunch time, 117-114. And then Houston turns around, dominates again, this one by 24 points. And then they go and play Game 6, and the Thunder pull that one out, 104-100. Now, if you are the Lakers and you get to decide your fate, you get to say, hey, I want to play this team, not this team. Which team would you rather see in the second round? Type R for Rockets, type T for Thunder. I'm going to be honest. I think the Rockets are an easier matchup for the Lakers because you look what the Lakers have on the floor with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. The Rockets don't have the size. Now, of course, that Rockets small ball has posed a lot of problems for a lot of other teams. I don't think the Lakers would have a problem with them, but if I'm being honest here, I don't think it matters who the Lakers play. I think they're going to steamroll either of these 2 teams in the second round. I'm just being honest. I think it'll be a quick 5, maybe 6 games. Now, I want to tell you guys something really important, really something you should have done a long time ago because I've talked about it all the time on this show, and that's just wearing a simple face mask, and you can get your Lakers face mask today at fanaticschatsports.com/LakersMask. I tell this to you guys on a consistent basis because I care about you and because I know you want to rep the Lakers the best way possible. You can get 1, packs of 2, packs of 3, or best bang for your buck, get a pack of 4 for $29.99. You can they're machine washable. You can throw them in the washing machine after you had a long sweaty day with that all over your face. You can give them to some friends if you get a pack of 4. Just go to chatsports.com/LakersMask. That's where you'll get all that. All right, so we talked about the playoffs. We talked about Game 7 between the Rockets and the Thunder. Now it's time to talk about some rumors that aren't too good for the Lakers. I've talked about Anthony Davis to the Bulls before on this show. I know you guys hate when I talk about it, but it has popped up once again. I know we're in the middle of the playoffs. They shouldn't even be focusing on this, but Jay Williams thinks that Davis could be gone this summer. I'll give you the exact quote here in just a minute, but Davis is expected to decline that $28.8 million player option, which at least leaves the door open for him leaving in free agency. Now remember, Anthony Davis was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and he has hinted at the fact that he might want to play for his team one day. He likes playing in Chicago. maybe he wants to go put on that red jersey and play for them there. Here's what Jay Williams, who actually, let me just remind you, and maybe this will kind of calm your nerves a little bit, was drafted by the Chicago Bulls. He played 2 years there, and this is what he said about Anthony Davis. He said, Anthony Davis is coming up, people. He's coming up. If the Lakers don't do it this year, hello, Chicago. That's where he's from. We've got to start pitching to people who want to come back home and rep home. Now, Jay Williams is a college basketball insider. He's more familiar with that territory. But like I said, drafted by the Bulls. Maybe he has some insight there. And the Bulls are actually looking a little bit more enticing every single day. They just fired head coach Jim Boylan, so now they're on the lookout for a new head coach. Maybe AD's like, hey, if you hire this guy, I'll come play in Chicago. They've got a really fun young core to build around, and I'll talk about those players here in just a minute. There is a very real chance that they could steal the Chicago Bulls, steal Anthony Davis away from the Los Angeles Lakers if they don't win it all. Now, if you look at the path to the finals, there is a chance that the Lakers get knocked out. But I'm going to be honest. As long as they get out of the West, I think they're going to win it all. Next round, they're either going to play Houston or OKC. I think that'll be an easy win. They'll get past it. I just mentioned it. Then the conference finals, they're either going to play a very hot Denver Nuggets team or the Los Angeles Clippers. And based on the way the Clippers acted against the Dallas Mavericks in round one, I think the Lakers have the mental toughness to be able to beat them in a 7-game series. Now, when it comes to the NBA Finals, they're going to play one of those 4 Eastern Conference teams, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, or the Toronto Raptors. And any of those teams, I think I would give the Lakers the upper hand there, which means I'd give them the upper hand at keeping Anthony Davis on the team this season. AD in the playoffs has been outstanding, and he is a large part of the reason that many consider the Lakers the favorites to win it all. Nearly 30 points per game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Actually been a great playmaker when given the ball in the post or in the high post. And he's shooting the ball pretty well from 3 at 39%. But let's just go to a very, very dark place. So you're going to close your eyes and have a little nightmare with me if you're a Laker fan. If AD leaves, this is what, now, mind you, they're going to have money if Anthony Davis leaves. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they don't spend that money, their starting 5 is going to be LeBron James, who will be 37, something like that. Danny Green, who's been hot garbage all season long. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who has his ups and downs, but you probably don't want him as your second best shooter on this roster. JaVale McGee in the middle, if he re-signs as a free agent. And now Kyle Kuzma is your starting power forward. Laker fans, I'm just going to keep it real with you. If this is the lineup next season, you can go ahead and kiss LeBron James goodbye. He's walking out right behind Anthony Davis. And if Anthony Davis goes to Chicago, all of a sudden this Bulls team is a lot of fun. You got Kobe White, who's one of my favorite young guards to come out of North Carolina in the last draft. Tomas Satoransky, who's a good pickup for the Bulls. Zach LaVine is a guy who I know Laker fans want to see in a Laker uniform, but maybe the next best thing would be Anthony Davis next to Zach LaVine in Chicago. Wendell Carter Jr. in the middle. If he can stay healthy, he will be a very good center. And then guys like Lauri Markkanen coming off the bench for the Bulls. That's at least enticing for Anthony Davis. So I'm going to ask you the question. And you can either pinch yourself and wake up from your nightmare, or maybe you want to keep dreaming and say that he stays in Lakerland. Where will Anthony Davis play next season? Put it down in the comments section and let me know. I'm going to give you my predictions, and maybe this will put you at ease. I think he's staying in Los Angeles. Number 1, I think the Lakers are going to win it all. And number 2, even if they don't win it all, his best bet is to be the face of Los Angeles, and that's going to happen in a few short years when LeBron is gone. So, Laker fans, don't worry. I know a lot of you are mad at me for even bringing up the idea of him leaving. I think he's going to stay. Don't you worry. But one guy who could be gone, one guy who I actually expect to be gone in the offseason is Jason Kidd. He's been a great assistant coach to Frank Vogel, but he wants more. There have been multiple reports, and I've already talked about it on this channel before, that Jason Kidd wants that Philadelphia 76ers head coaching role. And now he's in his first year as an assistant under Frank Vogel, but it could be his only year because there's a lot of teams that need a head coach. The Brooklyn Nets just fired Kenny Atkinson, and they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to worry about. Chicago Bulls, who I just talked about, they fired Jim Boylan. I don't think Jason Kidd's in the running for that one, but it's at least an option. The Indiana Pacers got rid of Nate McMillan. They need someone to run the show there. The New Orleans Pelicans, they got good young players like Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball, Jackson Hayes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Maybe Jason Kidd could step in there because they just fired Alvin Gentry. And now the Philadelphia 76ers, who might have more ties to the Lakers than you think. So stay tuned for that here in just a minute. But if Jason Kidd leaves, if he leaves Frank Vogel's staff, he takes a head coaching job somewhere else, who should they add? You guys make the call. There's a lot of good available coaches out there that they could add to that assistant role. But the one guy who's popped up most recently is Brett Brown, formerly of the Philadelphia 76ers. Jason Reed said that if Kidd's gone, Brett Brown should take his place. So there's a real chance Jason Kidd and Brett Brown just swap places. Jason Kidd becomes the head coach of Philadelphia. Brett Brown becomes the assistant in Los Angeles. He was in Philadelphia for 7 years. Those first 4 years, some of the worst years of all time of any NBA team ever. The 76ers won 75 games, and they lost 253. I don't think I've lost 253 times at anything in my whole life. And that's saying a lot because I wasn't like a freak athlete or anything in high school. But there's no way I could lose that much. That's a 29% winning percentage. But then, 2017, 2018, you start to get really good with Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons are in there. You're winning 52 games. The next year, 2018, 2019, 51 games. You're healthy. You're in the conference finals. You almost go all the way if it wasn't for a Kawhi Leonard little drop-in shot off the rim. But then this last year, they underperformed. They were a first-round exit. They were a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. And Brett Brown lost his job. So Philadelphia is searching for a brand-new coach. And they might turn to that Lakers bench because they've got a deep bench full of experienced coaches behind Frank Vogel. Now, Vogel, honestly, it's been a bit of a coaching carousel in Los Angeles and anywhere that LeBron James has gone. But I think Frank Vogel has done a bang-up job in Los Angeles. I think he's going to be in L.A. for the long haul. But his assistant, Jason Kidd, he's probably gone. There's no reason Jason Kidd should stay if he can get a head coaching job somewhere else. He's coached with Brooklyn and Milwaukee, but he might want that head coaching position again next year. Lionel Hollins is a guy who spent a lot of time as a head coach, but now is taking the role as the second assistant behind Jason Kidd. Phil Handy's been there, and Miles Simon as well coming in as assistant coaches. And the Lakers, they have like 5 other assistants behind Vogel and Kidd and Lionel Hollins and these other guys. But for being honest, I would not expect to see Jason Kidd's face on this coaching staff next season.